The brakes squealed as the subway train slowed to a halt. Anna stepped onto the platform, the smell of oil and damp concrete engulfing her. She glanced at her watch. 11:42 p.m. Perfect timing. Pulling her scarf tighter against the biting wind, Anna headed for the exit. As she navigated the near-empty station, snippets of conversation reached her ears. "It's that time again," an elderly man murmured to his companion. "The 11:45 is almost due." The man's friend shuddered. "Let's get out of here. I can't stand the thought of it roaring through." Anna paused, curiosity piqued. The 11:45 p.m. train had a reputation, though she'd never given the urban legends much thought. Ghost trains and haunted carriages were standard fare for big cities. But the genuine fear in the old man's voice gave her pause. As the men hurried off, Anna pulled out her phone and opened a search engine. She typed Metro 11:45 p.m., scanning the results. Most were forum discussions and subway enthusiast sites. Clicking on a thread titled "The Phantom Train, Metro After Midnight," she began reading. Popular legends spoke of extra trains unseen on official schedules speeding through stations in the dead of night, but the 11:45 p.m. seemed unique, even among these ghostly sightings. Message boards contained terrifying accounts of apparitions, unexplained cold spots, and blood-curdling screams emanating from the train as it passed. One post in particular caught Anna's attention. "My dad worked maintenance for 30 years and always warned me about that last train. Said it ran along the old Metro 99 tracks that were shut down after some big accident back in the day. I never knew if he was pulling my leg, but he swore that people who saw that 11:45 didn't live to tell about it." Anna glanced around the deserted platform. An advertisement for hair vitamins flickered ominously in the darkness. She scrolled through more discussions, fascinated that no one seemed to know the true history behind the myths. Making a mental note to dig deeper, she closed the browser and headed for the exit, the wind whispering around her. Outside, Anna tightened her scarf and walked briskly down the street towards her apartment building. She gave a nod to the weary-eyed doorman before taking the creaky elevator up to the 12th floor. Inside her dimly lit apartment, she tossed her keys on the counter and opened her laptop. Kicking off her shoes, she sat cross-legged on the couch, cocooned in a blanket. The white noise of cars on wet streets filtered in through the windows. Anna spent the next few hours absorbed in online research. She learned that while most major subway systems had their urban legends, Metro's 11:45 p.m. seemed uniquely ominous. Thread after thread regaled bone-chilling tales of close encounters with spirits from beyond on that particular train. Around 2 a.m., bleary-eyed from combing the forums, Anna came across a subway fan site with detailed maps of Metro's current routes overlaid with now-defunct lines. One in particular stood out, Metro 99. The ominous line was operational in the subway's early days, but shut down after only a year due to a mysterious accident. Very little official documentation existed, almost like it had been purposely erased. Metro 99's tracks closely mirrored Metro's deepest tunnels, the ones traversed by the last train each night. "Have you ever seen the 11:45? Anna jumped, the hushed voice right next to her ear. Heart pounding, she spun around. Behind her stood an elderly man, his gaunt face peering out from under a tattered wool hat. "Sorry to startle you, miss. I saw you looking at the Metro maps," he said. "Not many still remember the 99 or know its secrets." Anna eyed the man curiously. "What do you know about the 11:45? The man glanced around furtively before answering. "Dark, restless spirits sometimes cannot move on. They remain trapped, wandering the underground long after their bodies perish." He leaned in close, rancid breath stinging Anna's nose. "Even good folk can turn vengeful when their lives are cut short unfairly, and the 99 claimed many lives." The man turned abruptly and hobbled away, leather shoes scraping loudly in the quiet room. Anna sat stunned for a moment before jumping to her feet. She rushed to the door and gazed down the empty hall. No one. It was as if the man had vanished into thin air. Shaken, Anna closed the door and returned to her spot on the couch. She pulled out a notebook and pen, writing down all she could remember of the strange encounter. One line in particular stuck out: "Good folk can turn vengeful when their lives are cut short unfairly." Anna underlined vengeful. So the rumours were true. Something tragic had happened on the Metro 99 all those years ago. And now the dead were seeking justice the only way they knew how, by terrorising the living. Anna's investigative instincts kicked in. This would make for an incredible story. The public had a right to know the truth behind the urban legend, and she would be the one to tell them. Adrenaline pumping, she began compiling everything she would need to unravel the mystery. Flashlight, voice recorder, camera. No respectable urban legend expose could happen without photographic evidence. Satisfied with her plan and equipment, Anna crawled into bed as the first pre-dawn light dimmed the street lamps outside. As she drifted off, visions of deserted subway tunnels and endless darkness filled her mind. The answers she sought lurked in those tunnels, waiting to be brought into the light. The next morning, Anna woke to the chatter of her neighbours outside her door. The rich aroma of coffee from the corner bodega downstairs beckoned. Pushing aside the tangle of blankets, she washed her face and headed out. Cup of coffee in hand, Anna walked briskly towards the archives office on the outskirts of downtown. She pushed open the door to a dusty room lined with filing cabinets and crowded bookshelves. At the front desk, a bald man with owlish glasses peered at a crossword puzzle. Anna cleared her throat. "Excuse me, I'm looking for some information on Metro's history, particularly records having to do with the Metro 99 line and any accidents or unusual occurrences there." The clerk sighed and pointed to a shelf on the far wall marked Transportation. "Help yourself. Records from that far back are pretty scarce. A lot was lost in the Great Data Purge of '82. Disappointed but undeterred, Anna tackled the stacks of boxes and folders. Hours passed in fruitless searching. As she sifted through diagrams of obsolete turnstiles, her eyes began to glaze over. Nothing but decades-old maintenance logs and equipment manifests. Closing a box with a puff of dust, Anna sat back on her heels. There had to be employees who worked for the subway system back in its early days. Maybe some were still around. They might know details never recorded on paper. Mind racing with possibilities, Anna blinked in surprise when the archive clerk called her name. "We're closing up. You'll have to come back tomorrow if you want to keep searching." Anna glanced at her watch and gasped. It was already past 6 p.m. The day had flown by in a blur of paperwork and microfiche machines. Thanking the clerk, she stepped outside into the rain. Her heels clicked on wet pavement as she hurried to make her appointment. Rounding a corner, she spotted the sign for Malloy's pub. Escape from the chill night air. She opened the heavy wooden door and slipped inside. The warmth and clamour of the pub enveloped Anna. She blinked, eyes adjusting to the dingy lighting. Searching the bustling room, she noticed a hand waving from a corner booth. "Glad you could make it," said David, sliding over to make room. "Been a while. What have you been up to?" Anna smiled warmly at her old colleague. They had worked together as junior reporters at the Gazette before David left to edit a downtown news site. "Oh, you know, the usual," said Anna, unwinding her scarf. "But I've come across something intriguing. Ever hear tell of the Metro 99 line and the mysterious 11:45 p.m. train that runs along it?" David raised his eyebrows. "Can't say I have, but it sounds like the urban legend angle could make a great piece for your weird news column." Anna frowned slightly. "I was thinking this could be bigger than just a column. The public deserves to know what really happened all those years ago and why it created this phantom train." She detailed the snippets and threads she had uncovered so far. David listened intently, scratching his beard. Late one night, Anna sat hunched over her kitchen table, magnifying glass in hand. Before her lay a schematic of Westridge Station, drawn a few years before Metro 99's ill-fated opening. Her eyes were strained and heavy after another long day of squinting at faded blueprints. Just as she was about to call it a night, her phone rang, loud and shrill in the silent apartment. Anna jumped, then looked at the name on the screen. Unknown caller. She hesitated, then cautiously answered. "Hello? Annabelle, this is Walter Grange. I heard you've been making inquiries about Metro's past." Anna sat up straighter, instantly alert. The voice on the other end sounded elderly and tentative. "Yes, that's right. Are you a former employee, Mr. Grange?" A long pause. "I am, but that was a lifetime ago. Listen, miss. You seem like a nice young woman. Let an old man give you some advice. Stop this digging around where you shouldn't." Anna gripped the phone tighter. "What are you afraid I'll find, Mr. Grange?" Only the man's shaky breathing could be heard for a moment. Then, barely a whisper. "The past is best left there. No good comes from disturbing those laid to rest." A click, then empty dial tone. Anna slowly returned the phone to its cradle. Leaning back in her chair, she contemplated the strange conversation. A lifetime ago, laid to rest. Granger's words seemed carefully chosen. Her digging was clearly making some people nervous. Anna glanced at the Metro 99 schematic still spread before her. She tapped a finger on the Inkwood Hospital station, slated to service the prominent medical centre of its day. A dangerous idea began percolating. Hospital laid to rest. It was a long shot, but she had come this far. Grabbing a flashlight, Anna tucked a stack of printouts into her bag and headed into the night. The subway car swayed gently, rocking Anna as she studied her map. According to her renderings, there should be a bricked-up tunnel right around now. She peered out the window into the dark tunnel, flashlight beam dancing across abandoned platforms and water-stained walls. Her hunch had paid off. When Metro 99 was permanently closed, upper management denied requests to build a hospital station for the new line. This left a perfect, secluded access point for her late-night exploits. The train began to slow. Anna sprang up, ready to disembark at the next stop. Once the car emptied, she quickly pried open the rear door and slipped through, closing it behind her with a quiet, metallic click. Using her flashlight, Anna crept along the silent tunnel. The cold, clammy air raised goosebumps on her skin. Her footsteps reverberated against the concrete walls as she walked the fine line between the electrified rail and crumbling brickwork. After some tense minutes, Anna reached the bricked-up archway she had spotted earlier. Heart pounding, she squeezed through a gap between the bricks and the dripping wall. Cobwebs draped across her face like wispy shrouds. Anna suppressed a shudder. Once inside the abandoned platform, she stood motionless, flashlight off. She listened intently to the oppressive silence around her. Sensing she was alone, Anna switched her light back on and began to explore. She took photos and jotted down notes, wishing she had asked David for a recorder. Ticket counters slumped against walls, fogged glass littering the ground. Faded signs pointed nowhere. A rusted turnstile creaked mournfully when Anna nudged it with her foot. She felt like a trespasser in a sacred crypt. Wandering through a labyrinth of back corridors, Anna stumbled upon an old storage room. Pushing aside rotting wooden crates stenciled "Property of Metro," she uncovered something. A tarnished brass name tag lay askew amid rodent droppings and mouldy paperwork. Anna snapped a photo of the engraved name still faintly visible. Patrick O'Connell, engineer. So this was where Metro hid remnants of its buried past. Anna wondered what stories the piles of discarded uniforms and stacks of ledgers could tell. If only these mute artifacts could speak. Frustrated, she carefully returned the items to their resting places and slipped out. Later that night, Anna's apartment window shook from the force of a thunderstorm. Rain lashed the fire escape outside as she climbed into bed, but sleep remained elusive. The image of Patrick's name tag kept reappearing, a silent plea for remembrance. Somewhere his loved ones probably still grieved, denied true closure without a body to bury. Tossing fitfully, Anna dreamed of standing alone on the platform of Metro 99. Sounds of shrieking brakes and crumpling metal tore through the still air. Ghostly forms materialized from the concrete walls, some dressed as engineers, some as nurses, some in plain clothes. They ambled towards Anna, hands outstretched. Their pale faces blurred together in agony and rage as broken voices cried, "Find us! Free us!" Anna woke with a gasp, sheets tangled around her legs. Trembling, she lay still as her alarm clock ticked towards dawn. Somewhere below her, a train rattled along the tracks. Metro 99's lost souls were restless, and they were calling to her for release.